My name is Zed Saeed, and I'm a photographer. I live in Old Louisville, Kentucky. I don't believe it, I mean, yes, it's original work, but I don't believe in 100% originality. I think that people are shy about talking about their influences because, for whatever reason. I'm not. I think that there's several people that have very significantly influenced me. And what inspires me to make art is seeing other art and looking at other people's work that I think is beautiful, and I want to make similar work, which is kind of hard to do my photography. I grew up with a father who was an amateur photographer. He was just always taking photographs, and I have pictures of myself around 7 or 8 holding his camera, and I think I just got the bug from that. So this was part of a grant from the Kentucky Documentary Photographic Project, which is a project that's been ongoing for several decades, where they give a grant to photographers to go to different parts of Kentucky and take photographs. And this was done in 2018, and I think that the 2016 elections is what caused me to start thinking about this project, because I saw how everybody misjudged the mood of the country, including the media, and I wanted to go to a place which was different than what I knew, which is Louisville. This place, Eastern Kentucky is very different than Louisville, and I wanted to talk to people and wanted to experience the place. So that's my real reasoning behind choosing that location. And what I tend to do in all of my photographs, I tend to spend a lot of time with each individual person, sometimes an entire afternoon. I mean, that's a privilege, again, to be able to do that. And I get to know these people very, very well. One of my favorite photographs in this series is this gentleman named Bill Cass that I met. I was taking photograph. I had walked up to this hill, and I got caught in a thunderstorm. And when I reached the hill, there were these 3 crosses. When I reached the hill, I discovered that it really wasn't a hill. It was a pile of leftover coal ash. And I remember sinking. I went on it with my camera, and I sank to it onto my waist in wet coal ash. And I was coming back cursing and being upset, and the storm had raged over me, and I had covered the camera in plastic. And when I came back to my car, I saw this gentleman walking towards me. And that turned out to be Bill Cass. I talked to him for a while, and he had walked 14 miles that morning to come to see a doctor, and he was going to walk the 14 miles back. And when I asked him if he wanted a ride, he said no. And just speaking to that man after that event was just one of the many highlights. Like, he had been disowned by his family for reasons he couldn't understand. So he was a poor man living at this farm and doing handyman work. But those are the kind of moments when you really feel like you're actually out there in life, in situations that you wouldn't otherwise encounter. And it takes a lot of trust on both people's part to work like that. But that was one of the many, many stories that stands out for me. When I was doing this series and people look at this stuff, they always ask me, if I have video interviews or if I have audio interviews, and I do have. That's how I made the captions. I have a lot of audio interviews. When I was taking photographs of these people, before the photograph, I would do long interviews with them, hours and hours sometimes. And they were like, oh, you should have some recording where you could play their audio and stuff. And I didn't do that because I believe that photography can stand on its own. I'm still one of those people that believes in the power of photography. I'm still the person who believes that the power of a single image cannot be underestimated, what it can do and what it can accomplish. Place entirely shapes your identity. There may be some talk about genetics versus environment, but I think, take me for example. Where I grew up shaped my identity completely. I'm Pakistani Muslim. I came to this country when I was 17 years old, so my identity was completely baked in. I'll forever be an outsider. Like wherever I live, I've lived in this country for over 43 years, but I always have an outsider's perspective, which is really great for photography. So just the way my values and my upbringing and my environment shaped me, I assume that every environment is like that, and especially in Eastern Kentucky, because a lot of these people were born in these small towns and they never leave them, and if they do leave them, they often come back. And I think that's kind of one of the ways it shapes your identity. It felt very relevant at the time to shoot it in 2018, 2 years after the 2016 elections. And it feels very, very relevant today as well. And I think that, again, the way I would go at this is that the reason I feel that this is relevant is because I think we are such a divided nation right now. Now, this is not surprising for America. There's been periods of time during the Vietnam War, for example, where we were very, very divided. But a lot of people say that it's the most divided we've ever been. And I think part of the division has to do with the way we managed to demonize other side, both left and right. The way we managed to demonize both left and right and play on it is causes us to become even more enraged and divided. And I'm doing my absolute best in this series of work to humanize these people. I'm not trying to glamorize them. I'm not trying to make them heroic. I'm just trying to show them as ordinary people, just like me, just like you, just like the people who are going to look at this exhibit. And my hope is that in this time and place when we are so divided, that seeing an image of people and their stories we would not normally associate with and normally not understand why they are the way they are, hopefully that humanizes this side a little bit and brings us closer together. Now, that's asking too much of photography, but hey, you can hope.